Hello and welcome back to my show. I hope you're all well. Let's get to some news now. I was listening to a video George Gammon, economic guru, had posted about how if we continue with this, or the government continues with this paper money printing frenzy, the inflation is going to be hyped up to a point where we're going to be dependent on stimulus, and this will create power for the government to our route to serfdom, as Gammon says. So let's get to it. So he mentions an example of a healthy economy. He says the analogy is the following. A farmer, he consumes, or he produces more than he consumes, and that capital gain he invests in more planting and producing of goods, and he sells it to people who are dependent on it. They have their job, but they're also dependent on his product and services. And so that would, he said, this is a society as a result of productivity gets richer and richer. He said what makes a society rich or poor are the amount of goods and services that this society is able to produce efficiently. And then he asked the question, what happens when you add government stimulus into the equation? It less incentivizes people to go back to work. Like we've seen somebody who got 8,000, a family of I don't know how many, they got 8,000. They're like, I'm ditching my job, forget it. That is a terrible mistake, because either someone will get your job or you'll have no job to come back to, and you will be relying on the government for stimulus, and that is a power strength on their part, and you'll be at their mercy. Not a good thing. Okay, so he says that it provides more control on them. Once they give stimulus, it's going to continue. It's like an addiction. And so if they gave stimulus checks to the farmer, he would be less likely to produce so many goods and services, because he's like, I'm getting paid more, so why would I want to make more, right? But then it's like a chain reaction. The people who bought from him, now they have their job. Now they're forced to work less or have their own garden to produce their own goods and services. It's just mayhem. Okay, so Gammon says we're taught in school to believe that, quote, currency is a measurement of wealth, and he said it's all about the goods and services the economy is producing efficiently, which we just said, but it's important to highlight. And we said that stimulus checks equals less productivity, less incentive to work, more dependence on the government. And we don't want that, right? And then he went into charts, which I will put in the description aisle. He said, well, the income in 2020 rose to 6.1%. You have to look at the unemployment, which in March 2021 is a whopping 25%. Okay? And that information is from Gammon. We got to thank him, and as well as the Bureau of Economic Analysis. So you'll have the information in the description. I'll take a look at it. And we have to go into 2018, the government spending state. So what is that all about? Well, in 2018, the government spent state and locally was 40% GDP, while the private sector was 60%. Now let's fast forward to 2020, where government spending went up to a whopping 57%. Remember, it was 40%, right? Woo. Now private sectors are at 43% GDP. All right. What does that create? Trade deficit. We are become more reliant on the stimulus, on importing, getting goods from other countries such as China, where they then, as he said, they provide us more services, they get paid more, they flourish, we get poorer, but they come here to the U.S. and they buy assets and they become wealthier than ever, right? Okay, so we gotta take a note of that. And then where we have the stimulus built into the economy, less goods and services equals more stimulus checks, more government control. And as George Gammon said it, I'll read it. He says, an economy that got addicted to quantitative easing, paper money, printing frenzy out of thin air, just like it's getting addicted to the stimulus right now. And he said this would cause more inflation, hyperinflation. That's where the federal government and, well, the commercial system, you know how they give us loans, right? Mortgages. Well, if the Fed and the government are creating a new money supply, that puts strict limitations on commercial banks to loan us mortgages, right? Basically wipes them out. And now the federal and government, they become one. And they decide who gets credit and who doesn't, who gets a mortgage, who doesn't. And if inflation spirals out of control, which it will with the bank sheet that's increasing exponentially, infinity and beyond, what George Gammon said is this will cause the federal government and the government will merge together, controlling, instituting, he says, price controls, and they could determine who gets credit and who doesn't get credit. And that's when we become serfs. That's what he talks about, the road to serfdom. So we don't want to do that. Start planning a garden if you have the space for it, and prioritizing your portfolio. And remember, cash is not trash. Now we're going to talk about that in just a moment after we talk about the 10-year Treasury, which is at 1.56%. I believe yesterday it was 1.64%. Now you're probably thinking, why is it down? Well, that's because the feds are purchasing $80 billion in U.S. 10-year and 30-year Treasuries a month. In addition to that, $40 billion in mortgage-backed securities a month. So let's go to Bitcoin. It's at 61,000. Ethereum 2,400. The WTI crude oil WTI is at $63 a barrel. And let's talk about the fact that cash is no longer trash. Okay, so don't drop it down into the toilet. Okay, so I read an article in the South China Morning Post about the strength of the US dollar and it going to being digitalized. And what they said there, the author, we got to give him credit, his name is Kemp. I'll just call him Kemp for now because I can't find his name, okay? They say there that the quote, the author is Kemp, but the person who said this is the BOJ's payment system director or person in charge of looking into virtual Japanese currency. So this guy's he's a big honcho. So he says there that the dollar's status as the key global currency won't change so easily. In fact, the dollar's advantage may strengthen further if the U.S. goes with digitalization. Another thing is that CNBC headline on February 27th, 2021 also backs the digitalized U.S. dollar and are thinking or strong support of it being even strengthened even more. Op-ed headline says a digital dollar would help the U.S. and its allies keep China in check. Author Frederick Kemp. That's the Frederick Kemp. I'm sorry, the other one's a different author. Where Jan Yellen and where he says this, Frederick Kemp, he says that Jan Yellen and Fed Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell hinted this week that a digital dollar is a high priority project for the U.S. The author adds that the U.S. can still win the contest if it not only quickly develops a digital dollar, but collaborates on the creation of a digital euro, a digital pound, and a digital yuan. He goes on to say the total firepower of these currencies would close the innovation gap quickly. It would also demonstrate the value of working with allies. So that's what I have to say. Keep your portfolio strong, keep looking at it and adjusting accordingly. And cash is not trash. Get that garden started now so you can get the goods and services that you need, at least some of them, all right? So you can survive on some tomatoes, cucumbers, whatever it is. Thank you for watching, your support, liking, subscribing. I look forward to bringing you new content in my next video. Be safe, be sound, and have some common sense, right? You guys already do. I don't have to say anything about that. Thank you again. Till next time. Bye.